Let's take you now to IEC Chairperson Glen Mashinini. Mr. Mashinini, good evening to you. Thanks for your time. The IEC has been saying that it's really ready for any kind of outcome in as far as this inquiry is concerned. Now that it has found that holding elections in October is not viable, what happens next?
Thank you, and good evening, Kathy and the viewers. Yes, indeed, we have reached the critical milestone that the Commission had set out to apply itself to the question of the feasibility of conducting elections under the COVID conditions. And this is by world standards, one of the groundbreaking studies and reports that is before us. Now, as you pointed out, we have just received the report from Justice Moseneke, and what we opted to do as the Commission, in the interest of transparency, as we have journeyed with the South Africans, was that let us release the report, but at the same time we proceed and study it, and then we will prepare our response as the Commission. We felt it would not be appropriate to be holding the report when everything that we've been doing has been very transparent. So we would be holding meetings where we then consult with our administration and the commissioners, and we will then take a considered view on what the report is now provided us for decision making.
It seems to me that it would be quite difficult for the IEC to take a position that does not necessarily fall in line with the findings and the recommendations, given the fact that you have had political parties on different ends of the spectrum for why elections, yes, should go ahead, but most importantly, those who've been saying elections should not go ahead. This looks like it could be quite an important form of data that they could use in challenging the feasibility of elections.
Look, Kathy, the situation for us as the Commission was that the due process that we put was to address what we did uncover, that the country or the political parties were divided. And so we wanted to bring in a process that can cut through the hurly-burly and the theatrics of the environment that we work in, which is the political landscape, and cut through to the issues that are on the table, whether is this feasible, in a manner also that is not encumbered by also our own biases. And so we subjected the preparations report to the process, and then we enabled that South Africans should then speak. And we are very much pleased to see that it has generated such discourse and debate and discussion. So we are confident that the finality of where we would arrive after also we've debated the report as colleagues would actually receive a greater support and understanding from the South African community. Whether then there are any challenges in that direction, there's always possibilities of challenges in any direction that you make in the environment that we work in.
South Africans have been talking about what would need to happen if in fact elections were postponed. Of course, this means that we enter into uncharted territory, a moment for this country that is really unprecedented. Procedurally, what would need to happen? Well,
in the event that the Commission then pronounces its position to be aligned to the report. The report does outline that there are two scenarios. It's either you amend the Constitution or you approach the courts. Now, in the likelihood of amending the Constitution is much more remote, but definitely approaching the courts has been what previously, even when we're dealing with the by-elections, we've actually, because we don't have the discretion as the Commission, we've approached the courts, and that would then be the basis or that would be the next steps in the event that the Commission accepts the reports.
If you do then decide to go otherwise against the findings of the report and actually go ahead with the elections, would the IEC have the capacity to address some of the challenges that have been highlighted in this report about why it wouldn't be a good idea to hold elections?
Oh, absolutely, Kathy. In fact, you know, what Justice Moseneke has done, he has provided and confirmed that the framework to be followed is what the Constitution and the law says, and secondly, what is medicine and science saying. But for us as the Commission, we also have the third leg of critical consideration in this exercise, is that we then have to look at the state of readiness and look at the practicalities of whatever decision would be made, and therefore outline as to what then those steps would be. So in this case, as you're asking, the electoral practices were also examined in the report of Justice Moseneke. We will then match that also with our own internal assessment, and which would not necessarily be now a rocket science. I think we've taken responsible measures to subject this process and what eventually becomes the decision to all the possible rigors that we felt should actually be considered. And so this is where we are. We're very pleased with this process, and we're very happy that a report is now on the table, and that particular report is there for everyone to look at it and study it. And in any democracy, we will always have divergence of views, and even in this case, I think we are saying, let the democracy endure. Let's take the next steps that are responsible decisions for us as a Commission.
One of the things that I felt was quite important that was highlighted in the report is the unpredictability of COVID-19 in our own context, in terms of having been able to protect people from the virus, and as far as vaccinations are concerned, and the fact that we simply aren't far enough in that process. The other issue that has been highlighted by the report has been the number of times that the IEC has actually gone to the courts to ask for the postponement of by-elections, as again an example of the unpredictability. Have you had any communities come back to you and complain about having been disenfranchised by the postponement of those by-elections? So has that impacted democracy in a significant way since we've been under this climate of COVID?
No, not necessarily, Kathy, because of the transparency of the Commission and following the due process, most of the stakeholders have actually supported us on the by-elections. In fact, the by-elections, we can say relatively it was unanimous. But when it came to the national local government elections, we saw that there was a diversified views. And if you followed the proceedings, very passionate submissions were made to Justice Moseneke, and it was a very robust debate for us as a country, and a very informative and enlightening understanding of the issues that we had to grapple with. We also learned a lot also about the science behind the challenge that is before us, and including that even the scientists themselves were unable to actually to make a prediction. So this invisible enemy is turbulent, and it was important for us not to treat it lightly, but to put it through the rigor that now is sitting before us and for everyone to actually read and see. We, as the Commission, we believe this has enhanced our ability to discharge our duty as we would deem fit. But at the moment, we are still looking and studying it and saying, okay, what does it mean? What are the practical implications and so on and so forth.
How soon can we expect a decision from the IEC?
Well, I know that South Africans are saying they want now the Commission's determination yesterday, and we will keep that in our minds, and we would do our best, as we've always said as the institution. We expedite, we move things as fast as possible, but at the same time, we just want to make sure that we don't leave ourselves vulnerable and open, because in the event there's parties that would disagree with you, you should at least have made sure that some of the basic things, the administrative due processes, are done properly, and also the conclusions that you reach, you are in a position to say, I stand by this particular decision, and take it from there. But we will make decisions, and we'll make them very soon. We're still looking at the issues, as I said, is that, among the considerations in the report is the issue of the levels, because all along we've been guided also by the determination of the levels. We know that at the moment those are due on Sunday, and at the same time we will be engaging our administration to also give us the status of our preparedness and readiness where we are, as well as possibilities of the vulnerabilities that we'll have to take into consideration, especially with the PFMA, in terms of making speedy decisions. But overall, I think we should be able to revert soonest.
All right, we'll have to wait and see when exactly soon is going to be. IEC Chairperson Glen Mashinini there. So as you heard, not wanting to tie down a specific date, but the IEC will definitely need to move with speed on this one. The elections, of course, are set down for October, which is really a couple of months away.